I'll just introduce you first and then I'll read Irene's thing. So we're really lucky to have Jill with us here today. Jill is director of the PAW Fund, which is a nonprofit organization. This is totally plucked from the website. A nonprofit organization based in the East Bay, oriented towards providing support for folks on fixed incomes, people who live outside, folks with disabilities, seniors, and people who have hit financial roadblocks who need veterinary care for their animals. That's it short. It's really, really neat work. And Jill is a prominent element of a documentary that Irene Gustafson is working on called Homework. And Irene couldn't be here today because of family stuff, so she sent me a thing to read out loud to kind of describe the film because she's eloquent in a way that I could never be about her work. So I'm just going to read what she said and try and remember to say Irene instead of me in appropriate spaces. Okay, so this short work in progress screening is a small sample of a documentary film still in process titled Homework. The film started as an observational photo essay about an animal shelter in San Francisco, the SFSPCA. In the early 1990s, the SPCA built a new adoption facility, Maddie's Adoption Center, that was designed to replace the cages and kennels of traditional shelters with bright, airy open spaces. The new shelter was designed to look like trendy lofts, upscale residences. The older way of housing and displaying shelter animals, homeless dogs and cats, one could call it an aesthetics of incarceration or imprisonment, cages and bars, was replaced by an aesthetics of optimistic upper-middle-class domesticity. Animals are housed in largish rooms with open crates, sofas, and TVs. This new shelter is a place where encounters between people and dogs are engineered to occur as primarily visual. The sightlines and orientation of the space harken to other and older pictorial formations where people view animals and animals view people. Part zoo, part diorama, part department store window display, part cage, part idealized domestic space. This space is designed absolutely to privilege the visual as the primary, as in the first and most important mode of encounter. But there are small holes drilled in the glass so that people can hold their fingers there, allowing the dogs to sniff, allowing fingers to be touched by tongues to facilitate the tactile encounter of aroma and touch. It is a remarkable detail in that it's a concession to the fact that dogs are not primarily motivated by sight, rather by smell, and a concession that every encounter is a two-way exchange or more, three-way, four-way, between entities encountering each other and doing so with their own sensorial and cognitive capacities. Often, these holes get closed over when fingers are bitten or when people with malice towards the animals pass unwanted objects across the threshold of the glass. There are many things about this space that interested me, Irene, and sparked what became her project, a film about discourses of welfare within neoliberal institutions and civic spaces. But this small hole in the glass was of particular importance. It was an architectural concession to animal agency, to difference. It is a small crack in an otherwise smothering anthropomorphic aspirational architectural space. And it suggested that even where there are thresholds and barriers between humans and animals, physical and conceptual, occasionally things pass through. Irene's film investigates how we do things with animals and how they do things to us. She's interested in how the inclusion of a non-human life affects a story we usually think of as pertaining only to people, poverty and welfare. How do our narratives of poverty and welfare change when we include a larger cast of creatures? What happens when we include animals, dogs, and cats, and when we allow them a kind of political expressivity? The film grapples with the complex intersection of human welfare and animal welfare. In the politics of visibility in a neoliberal world, people on welfare are seen as guilty, as responsible for their own lives, seen as agentic. Animals in the animal welfare system are seen as victims in need of saving, innocent. Irene's film examines these collisions as they are played across the lives of individuals and institutions. The film explores the affective registers of blame and compassion, empathy and disavowal, rescue and redemption, disgust and empathy across the human and non-human divide. This small section is a verite portrait of the work of PAW Fund and Jill Posener. Jill can represent herself much better than I can, or Irene, but I will say that Jill's animal welfare work is interesting to Irene and me for many reasons. First, it sources from a personal history of, so she's talking about you. First, it sources from a personal history that includes housing, squatter activism, stage managing for one of the earliest gay theaters, feminist art activism, which I encountered. That was my first encounter with you, was Nothing But the Girl, which was an obviously, queer photography, anti-war activism, and general badassness. But second, Jill's work exists at the nexus of human-animal entanglements and the messy space of what I might call Harlan this time. Hard love, or funny love, hard love, queer lives, and tough choices.
Well, then I'll just move start front, shall I? Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch
Sorry,
it.
wrong password.
I've seen it.
Can I hit it? No. There.
So I've always been uncomfortable with the profit model of American housing. And I think the relationship, I think in England we understand the relationship between landlord and tenant a bit more. We don't like our landlords. You're not supposed to be best friends with your landlord. He's the freaking landlord. You know, his job is to make sure that your water still runs and that your refrigerator doesn't have roaches in it. And landlords here, to me, of course you can have good landlords, but most of the landlords I know are whinging whiners, you know, who think their tenants are no good and set unrealistic expectations. No pets is one of them. And the no pets rule in private housing, where almost everybody, I mean, having a pet is as American as apple pie. You know, pets are crucial, and yet people have to leave their housing or leave their pets in order to get housing. And that brings me right up to your question about, you know, what I feel about the nature of home and having an animal. And yet you're paying good money to a private landlord, but you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do the other, and you can't have that animal that's lived with you for 10 years. And that, you know, very emotional topic for me. Because the issue of abandoning animals has a lot of resonance for me, because we had to do that a lot. Well, we didn't have to, but you know, we left. You know, my mum's favourite phrase was, "Darling, you forget I left in a hurry." You know, whenever we had to change continents or, you know, leave a housing situation, and the animals would just go, disappear. And I always had that as a very, very strong, you know, powerful force in my life, that if I had the option, I would never do that. And so keeping an animal safe, you know, regardless of what that meant. And I get a strong feeling, you know, that a lot of these people I know and I work with who are homeless, particularly those who live on the bulb, would sooner stay outside than go into you know, housing where they couldn't take their animal. I mean, it's a bizarre concept to them, as it would be to me. So I think that, you know, is why, you know, is why I think when I first came upon the bulb, it had such enormous resonance with me, because I am definitely somebody that feels housing is a right. I'm just trying to find when I last had photographs of her. Do you know what I mean? Because I photograph them regularly. You know, the day that Indica got attacked, I think, wait a minute, on May the 1st, I've got a photo, he's got a blue harness on, right? Hi, it's Jill. Okay, the dog is, I thought it was Tico, it might be Kiko, but either way, it's Tico or Kiko. And yeah, confirmed that that is his microchip. I've never had a phone number for the owner. I've always had to just track her down on Shattuck Avenue. She's a young African-American woman. Good person. I mean, really good woman. This is Rowdy. Yes, I think maybe this is the day Rowdy was put to sleep. She had all these tumours.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, they lived out there and... Yes, we brought the vet out and he did the euthanasia right there. So they didn't have to, so that Rowdy didn't have to struggle anymore. It's painful. But it was peaceful. Oh, this is Jimbo. I went out to his home on the landfill and he said, I want you to photograph me the way I always am. I'm always naked when I'm at home. It's like, his leg is kind of interesting.
Sit pretty. Sit. Sit. Oh, wow. She's a good girl. She taught her to sit in 5 minutes.
She's one of the place big dogs.
Yeah.
You probably know.
Oh, yeah.
Bernard. How heavy do you think radar is? 90?
Probably.
Let's put 90 to 11.
What's the date today?
13. 15. How do you spell Chewy? C-H-E-W-I-E?
I spell it C-H-E-W-Y.
C-H-E-W-Y?
Yeah, C-H-E, just like...
And I also got the side yours. What is he considering?
I'll give you, look, I'll give you some information about getting a good benefit for them. You'll be probably less aggressive.
Really?
And how did you hear about us coming here today?
My mom, the lady told my mom, and then
They're just neighbors, yeah?
Street. Number 10, right? Also. Sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Mom didn't mean to do that.
For the rest of this?
our diesel should be for 3
For the
years,
rest
right?
of this?
It would be a 3-year for those ones, yeah. Altered.
One. Said uno huevo, yeah? Go.
Okay, so I got one ball.
One ball.
Hey, Jill, we have a crypt orchid.
Only I see one on the time.
I'll palpitate.
Then
Can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so he's gonna do another Oh, yeah, he's a drifter, kid.
just one?
Just one, yeah. So does he need a vaccination today? Has he ever been vaccinated before? How long ago?
Oh, maybe 2 months.
3 months. Okay, and was that the first one that he's ever had, or has he had more than that?
No,
That's the first one.
yeah, the first one.
I probably.
Beaches and naughty bath in your car.
Never.
Jill, should I do a booster on this dog? Where is she? Jill, should I do a booster on this dog? Jill.
It's nice to be needed.
And yet, he only has one testicle, which means the other one is inside of his body. And that's really painful, and it can be very dangerous. Yes. Would you like to get him neutered? We can do that for you for free.
Cut it up? Oh,
Get rid of the balls, yeah. So there's one out of his, because it's up in the cavity,
yeah.
and that can be really painful. And when I went to touch him, he was very sensitive back there. So would you like to get him neutered?
What happened? I don't take it up.
I mean, it can be very painful for him, and it could cause issues later on. We'll do it for free. It's like a 1 day, and then he's back with you.
I'm gonna leave it like that.
You're gonna leave it like that? Okay. If you ever want us to do it for you, let us know. We'll come back and we'll get him neutered. Okay?
Are you coming over here to cut it up? Or what?
We'll bring him to a hospital where a veterinarian would do it, and then we bring him back to you. Like Peaches, she got spayed. We took her for a day and then we brought her back.
He beat too much.
He pees a lot? Yeah, he marks.
I think
He draws all over the place. It's because he's not neutered. Yeah. You think about it, you let him know. You know, I'm going to give you the paperwork that says what you got today. It has her number on it. Call that number if you ever want to get him neutered, okay? Okay, so hold on 1 second.
Right?